Reviews of Wicked, MOANA 2, and MUFASA, along with other holiday films on this belated episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Hello and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's December 31st, 2024, and this is episode 128. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my website, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. Well, after a long hiatus, I am back in the saddle and ready to record some more movie podcasts. Thank you again for joining me. I have been out due to the illness and passing of my dear sister, Carol. Carol was a breast cancer survivor about a decade ago, but it metastasized and came back in a big way in other parts of her body, and it ultimately killed her. So I like to say that cancer won the battle, but Carol won the war with her wonderful life and just being a marvelous sister and a dear friend. I miss her terribly. Carol was a great supporter of the podcasts. She always tuned in and always gave me feedback, and I was always so grateful for that and just so grateful for her in so many ways. So this episode is dedicated to Carol, and I love you and miss you, sis. So I want to talk about some holiday movies, since I'm way behind schedule, but there are 5 holiday movies that started with the movies in November that were opening around Thanksgiving time, and then I also want to talk about a couple movies that I'm looking forward to in 2025. So first up, let's dive into the big holiday release that opened up before Thanksgiving, which is the film adaptation of Wicked. So, Wicked, just the monster hit on Broadway and just around the world, based on the book, which really put it just a very clever way of creating a backstory of the characters from Frank Baum's The Wizard of Oz books. So, of course, none of this has to do truly with anything of the timeline from the original books, but I just found that I have not read the Wicked book, but I've seen the Broadway play and just think it's absolutely tremendous, so clever, such great music, and just instantly just an iconic piece of modern art. So this film adaptation has been a long time coming with so many different iterations and rumors and different things. But finally, it finally got made. One of the decisions that the creative team made was to split it into 2. So this film really technically should be called Wicked Part 1. But this movie is basically the first act of the play, for those of you who, of course, have seen it or haven't yet. But so don't go into this film thinking that it's going to be the whole play, because Part 2, which they have named now Wicked for Good, it's going to be coming out in Thanksgiving of 2025. So this Wicked film was directed by John M. Chu, and, of course, stars Ariana Grande as Glinda and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. And I'm just happy to say that I thought this movie just headed out of the park. It was so refreshing and, frankly, a huge relief to see a movie studio really adapt a Broadway show in a wonderful cinematic way. I'm looking at you, Les Miserables. I really disliked that film adaptation of it, and I know that they were trying something different, but I think really the big advantage of having a film version is to really immerse us in and where the movie, or excuse me, where the story is taking place. And that's where I think Wicked just aced it with its beautiful production design and wonderful art direction, uh, but also just great direction generally. John M. Chu really knows how to direct a musical. And then just the terrific casting. Both Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are fantastic in their respective roles. And also, such a delight is that actors that could sing were hired, because those ladies uh, get it done. Just a fantastic, fantastic soundtrack. Um, the great songs by Stephen Schwartz really shine. And I just found Wicked to be an absolute delight. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've seen it, or if you haven't, highly recommend it. I think Wicked is probably one of my favorite films of the year. So really, 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 really great. Next up is a film that I just happened to catch in November, because again, my film going was just really quite limited, and so over these last few months, and I was grateful that a friend reached out, and we were able to go catch this film. It's A Real Pain, and that again, that's the name. That's the name of the film, not about anything else. It is a comedy drama that actually was written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg, and he also stars in it, along with Kieran Culkin and some other interesting supporting actors. This movie is set just in current day. It's about two first cousins. So Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin play cousins, and they reunite for a tour through Poland to honor their beloved grandmother who recently passed away. And it's just an interesting thing about their old tensions with each other, and honoring the history of their family, and trying to keep things going. This film also is just one of my favorites of the year. Really a complex movie. It's a great road movie in a way, a great kind of a buddy movie, but really a brilliant script, fantastic acting. They film it on location in Poland. I've never been to Poland, so this trip made me really want to go, see some of these sites that they went to, and just a really poignant film. Absolutely terrific drama. And again, good, some good comedy in it too, but just really, really excellent film. So highly recommend A Real Pain. Next up is MOANA 2, which is a sequel to MOANA from Walt Disney Animation Studios. Now, this film has got a little bit of a history, and I'm going to throw in a couple of, if you'll indulge me, a couple of little stories about this. So, this summer, I believe it was in June of 2024, a friend of mine tipped me off on a special film screening that was being done by the folks at Disney. It was happening here in Salt Lake City, and you can sign up for it online. So I did, and I got a ticket, and it was for free, but still. So I had the screening ticket, and then literally a few hours before the screening was said to happen, I got an email saying that I was no longer invited to the screening. And of course they didn't give any really explanation what happened, but so I thought, well, for heaven's sakes, I'm still going to go try to get in. So I took my, I printed off my little ticket thing that I had originally, and went to the screening. And what happened was I aged out of it. They were not letting people over age 50 into the screening. So, of course, I didn't know what the film was as well. I should clarify that. I wondered if it was going to be Moana 2. I figured it might be Moana 2 or it might be Mufasa, which I'll be talking about here in a bit. But it turns out that it was Moana 2. But everybody who saw it had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. And it was a work in progress print. And then they asked for feedback. So, and supposedly that screening in June was the first time anybody outside of Walt Disney Animation Studios had seen the film. So anyway, clearly Disney didn't really want the money of people over age 50 for this movie. And I kind of think that's when after I saw it, it all made sense because Moana 2, while not terrible, is not nearly as good as the original Moana that was, released in 2016. And however, though, the screening that I saw Moana 2 at, there were many families in the audience and a lot of young children, and the young children all spontaneously erupted into applause at the end of the film. So, clearly the filmmaker's goal of making a film for a younger audience seemed to work, at least for the audience that I saw the film with. And again, it didn't work that great for me, being an adult. So what, this film is just it's a continuation of Moana's adventure. She's a little older. She's 3 years older. She now has a little sister, and her island's been restored. But there's a bit of a convoluted story that the film has. And again, it didn't seem to bug any of the kids in the audience, but it kind of bugged me. But anyway, Moana sets off on an adventure. Maui is along for the ride. The demigod, who is voiced by The Rock, by Dwayne Johnson. Moana's sidekicks are back on board with the cute little pig, who is actually just absolutely adorable, a little Pua. And then Hey, the crazy chicken. I guess really the chicken with no brain. And then there's a few other characters along for the ride, some new villains, some new things. Now, I don't wish to speak incorrectly about this, but I believe that initially this project was designed to be a 4 or possibly 6 episode miniseries that they were going to put on Disney Plus. And Walt Disney Animation Studios opened up a new office in Vancouver to specifically animate this and some other series they're working on. Supposedly, they're working on a Disney Plus series related to Tiana. It's not supposedly, they've announced it, but who knows if it's ever going to get released. But Tiana from the Princess and the Frog film. And I don't know what other things they might be working on. But anyway, it's like a little satellite office, or animation studio, in addition to the one that they have in Burbank, California. So, it was decided, and I think when Bob Iger came back to Disney and tried to right the ship, which I believe he's done really for the most part, but this miniseries decided to turn it into a feature film instead. And so while it was initially developed in Canada, both the Burbank office / studio and the Canadian studio collaborated. I think it was all hands on deck and to put together this film. So that could have maybe been possibly why some of the stuff that I didn't necessarily love about it is because they had to finish it so quickly, or they chose to. That's what they decided to do to get it to the box office ASAP. Again, I had issues with the story. I really think it could have used the Lin-Manuel Miranda touch for the music. They worked with a different songwriting team for this film, and the songs I thought were not great. The one thing that really was a standout, I guess the two things, the animation is lovely. And I was really happy about that because I was worried that possibly the animation might be a little substandard, or again, because it wasn't necessarily working. And no slam on this Vancouver studio. In fact, now I have nothing but respect for them based on the beautiful animation that they created, probably in conjunction again with the team in Burbank. But the film looked great, and also Moana and Maui and the sidekicks, they're just great, and it's just there's just great chemistry. Ali Carvalho, who voices Moana, who voiced the original Moana in the film, is back, and she's great. Dwayne Johnson is terrific, and it's just so that just being able to spend more time with these characters was fun. That was probably the thing that I enjoyed the most, in addition to the just absolutely breathtaking animation. Wish the story had been better. Wish the song a little bit better. But again, I was not the target audience for this film. The kids seem to love it, and it's lit up the box office. Disney Animation really needed a hit, and I'm so glad they got it. And anyway, here's hoping for higher quality products coming out. But anyway, they got themselves a hit, and good for them. So next up is another sequel. It's Gladiator II, and this is directed by Ridley Scott, who directed the original Gladiator. Now, that original Gladiator film is fantastic, with Russell Crowe and the digitally recreated Rome, and just the great drama and great action. It's I think lots of people love that movie, and I'm one of them. I love the original Gladiator. This sequel is I didn't think it was great. In fact, frankly, I was rather bored with it, and I just didn't find it that compelling. Paul Mescal plays the lead, and spoiler alert, we find out that he's actually the son of the gladiator that was played by Russell Crowe. It's got a lot of political drama. Pedro Pascal's in it. Denzel Washington's in it, and they do what they're asked to do. Connie Nielsen's in it too. The acting's fine. It's just, I think, really the script, I didn't think it was great, and I just didn't really think Paul Mescal was a great choice to be the lead role. That's just me. So anyway, I did not care for Gladiator 2. In fact, throughout most of it, I just couldn't wait for it to be over. I just thought it was a bore. So finally, we've got now, I guess, what would be considered a prequel. So this is Mufasa, the Lion King. Now, this, of course, is from Disney. Just the Walt Disney Studios, not the animation studios. And it is a prequel to, of course, given the title, of the story of the Lion King. Now, the 1994 traditionally animated film, The Lion King, was, of course, just an absolute monster hit for Disney, and just a fantastic film. I love that original Lion King. I believe it was in 2019. It got remade, as Disney is wont to do, into a CGI version of the same story, which basically was a shot-for-shot remake of the 1994 original, and I just thought it was the biggest piece of crap. I hated that CGI Lion King. People refer to it as the live-action Lion King. I don't know where they found the talking animals, but it was, of course, it's animated. It was just done in that CGI style. So this prequel is done in the same CGI style, with, I think, a little bit improved animation. One of my big complaints, other than just that they did it, Disney made that or did that remake, was that the animals, they were so focused on having them look lifelike, or this in this photorealistic style, that there was absolutely no emotion. So you just had these kind of blank-faced animals doing all this stuff. And again, it also didn't have the wonderful environments that could be created with traditional animation that are somewhat fanciful. And specifically, I'm thinking of the "Be Prepared" sequence, how marvelous that is in the traditionally animated one, and how what a bore it was, how blah it was in the in the 2019 CGI one. Anyway, the creative team, the film is actually directed by Barry Jenkins, who's a very fine director, and I think that this film benefits from Barry Jenkins, quote unquote camera, just how good he directed the CGI. It's got a great vocal cast. The writers, though, particularly Jeff Nathanson, who is credited for the main story, did an interesting job creating a backstory. Doing backstory stuff, I can't say I always like it, but basically, what the story is that Mufasa is an adopted brother to who we know or initially knew as Scar, but in the film his name is Taka, and then basically there's like a love triangle between Scar, Taka, and Sarabi, and all sorts of other drama going on to how Mufasa becomes the Lion King. So, actually, Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the songs. This film's a musical. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the songs to it, and throughout the film, what I had wished is that Elton John had written the songs like he did for the 1994 original, and that Lin-Manuel Miranda had worked on the MOANA 2 project instead. But, a guy can wish, but, it didn't happen. Also, I just kept wishing that if they were going to make this film, that they would have done it in traditional animation instead of the CGI. Well, I feel like they worked harder on making these CGI animals emote better. Maybe it was just PTSD. It was reminding me of how much I despise that horrible 2019 CGI remake of what is just, really a great film that didn't need to be remade in the first place. So I didn't think Mufasa was terrible, but I also didn't think it was that great. Okay, well, just a couple of other little things. I've put 2 YouTube videos on in the podcast notes on my website, but for 2025, while I'm still sorting through the films that are coming out and the films that I'm looking forward to, 2 films really stand out, and they're superhero films, and hoping that a return to higher quality films is going to pay off in 2025. From the previews, I think it definitely could. The first one is for that I'm excited for. It opens on February 14th on Valentine's Day, but it's Captain America: Brave New World, and this stars Anthony Mackie, who is now Captain America, and Harrison Ford's in it, and it just looks fantastic. So check out that trailer. Again, you can find it on YouTube, and that's what I've linked to in the podcast notes on my blog. Second film that I'm looking forward to, which opens up next July, is another Superman movie. This time, though, it's written and directed by James Gunn, who is the recently. I mean, it's been a bit, but appointed head of the DC Comics films at Warner Brothers. The DC Comics films, I think, have just been absolutely dreadful at Warner Brothers. And particularly the last round of Superman films. Henry Cavill, the actor, was a perfectly fine Superman, but I thought that the films like Man of Steel, I just thought was just a lousy film, and I guess that can be blamed on the director Zack Snyder and other factors going on around it. But this new Superman film looks so cool, so hopeful. Really, really excited about it. So check out those trailers. They are again in the podcast notes on my website, or just go check them out on YouTube. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, many thanks for your patience with me. Hope to be able to record more regularly in 2025, but just so grateful that you tune in, and appreciate so much your support. Subscribe to the podcast where you listen to podcasts, and follow me and send me messages on Instagram. My handle is @moviespap, as in past and present. As always, I hope you'll enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Happy New Year. I hope you're going to have a happy, healthy, and wonderful 2025. Be safe out there, and as always, dedicate yourself to the truth.